All right, guys. So I'm finally able to interview Angie, and I'm super excited for this interview. What's up, Angie?
What's up, Ben? What's up? It's been a long time, man.
It has been a long, long time. So we were just chatting probably for like 30 minutes before we actually set up this interview right now. But we are chatting about how long it's been and kind of where you started out and how everything went for you in the program
Yeah.
and whatnot. So I'm super excited for everything that's going on with you right now. I guess we'll just cut right into it. Like, what were you doing like before you got into the recruiting program?
Prior to, I was actually a lot of customer service jobs. I think at that time I was working for the county of Los Angeles. I was like a supervisor. I was pretty much everything had been like customer service, customer management, all of that, that stuff.
Gotcha. So like people person, kind of like,
Yeah, yeah.
you had that
On
vibe.
a
Okay.
people aspect, yeah, yeah. Just connecting with people and making sure customer relations, just that way. A lot of not so much face to face. I was very comfortable already talking over the phones or via emails, live chat, stuff like that.
Okay. Gotcha. But no recruiting. You didn't have any recruiting experience before.
Not really. I wouldn't say that much. I have had some junior recruiting experience at a couple of different offices, but I haven't held like an actual lead position in the recruiting aspect.
Okay.
But in that little bit of experience that I did have, it was like, oh shit, I really like this.
Mhm.
So
So you
that's what
enjoyed
kind of
it.
opened up my mind to it, and I wanted to branch off into it, and that's when I found you, sir, late night on YouTube. I
Mhm.
had already at that point, I think I had already kind of had this desire to get out of the 9 to 5. I was,
Mhm.
I've always had that, but
Mhm.
it was just really building up on me. And I was praying on it, looking for a way out. And honestly, like I kid you not, I was up and watching YouTube on my TV at like 11 o'clock at night. And then here's Ben. And I'm like, what is this guy talking about? And then you just started, of course, popping up on my feed because it was in the algorithm at that point. And I
Mhm.
just started watching more and more videos. And I think I've binge watched your videos for probably about like 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, thank you.
So let's talk about once you made the move, you
Yeah.
popped into the program. So you got into the mentorship. So
Okay.
you had a big start. You had a fast start. You had a big start. Tell us about just kind of how you blasted off, because I remember it was really intense, and it was
Yeah.
some. It's a cool story. Just tell us about that.
Yeah, so pretty much I came in, I was like a fish out of water. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was scared, I was nervous, but I was determined to make this work. So I was dedicated to just doing whatever it is that you laid out on this blueprint. I think in the beginning, I remember hitting you up a couple of times, like, hey, can we hop on a one-on-one? Like, I need to know, am I doing this right? Because I was doing my outreach and I wasn't getting anything back. I'm sending out all these emails or trying to make contact with people via LinkedIn using Octopus, and nobody's really responding. And this was also during the pandemic. So this was
Mm-hmm.
like when the shutdown was, at its core. So it was a lot that I was getting myself into that I wasn't aware of. But eventually, after like 3 months, I started getting a little bit of traction. And my very first contract that I got signed, it was 3 months into the program. It was for 50K. I was
Mm-hmm.
super fucking excited. I hit
Mm-hmm.
you up. I'm like, Ben, like, oh my God, this is
Right.
crazy. Mine was blown. It didn't close. My invoice didn't close at 50K. The
Mm-hmm.
invoice, I think my very first invoice, 3 months into the program, was about 32,000.
Cash
Um,
collected 32,000.
yes,
Okay.
yes. Cash collected was 32,000 on my first one.
Love it.
And from there, I mean, that was just the motivation that I needed. Like, oh shit, this works.
Proof of concept, basically,
That
for
was
you.
proof there was nothing else that I needed to see after that. I just kept going. I kept listening, to your videos. I kept listening to all the instructions you were giving. I was just sticking to everything that you laid out on the blueprint. And it was rinse and repeat. I kept it pushing and kept growing, kept scaling, kept learning. You have some good months, you have some that are a little slower, but as long as you just stay consistent, the results are there. Exactly. Yeah. It's going to go up.
And were you working a 9-to-5 job while you were getting the agency set up, while you were getting contracts and all that?
I was working remote at that time. Okay. So I kept my job, I think, for a minute. It was a little scary for me to let go because it's new. You're an entrepreneur. This is the roller coaster that they don't tell you about. So, it was kind of like that was my security blanket that I wanted to hold on to for as long as I could. And eventually I just kind of got to the point to where I was making enough money from the staffing side of things to where I was like, you know what, either you're in all the way or you're not in at all.
Right.
One or the other. There's no one foot in, one foot out. I just took a leap on faith. I let go of that and I relied on this. And I think that extra pressure that I had on myself from doing that really accelerated everything for me.
I bet. And a bunch of people that are watching this are probably thinking about the same thing because so many people are in that 9-to-5 cycle, but they want to get going. They want to actually use, their talents. They want to actually, take their talents and work for themselves, right? But there's no blueprint on this. There's no textbook. No one gives us, exactly like how to do this. How do you, take this whole thing and go do it on your own? Well, basically there's no rule book to it. You just got to do it, right? But then once you do, what happens? You scale, you pop off. Everything just skyrockets basically because at that point it's you against yourself, you and the world,
Absolutely. And I'm big on setting intentions, so if this is really what you want to do, you have to first get your mindset together and make sure that this is really where you want to be. Set that intention. You have those doubts, they're going to come. That's normal, but you have to be able to come against that with those positive affirmations or just remember your why. Why did you start this? Do you want to go back to work for somebody else where, like I said, for me, it was the pandemic. That shit put things into perspective. A lot of people were so disposable when it came to their jobs. People were getting furloughed left and right who had never lost or been without a job before.
Right.
You saw unemployment just skyrocket the numbers. So it really did put things into perspective. And that's why a lot of people also thought that, hey, that's dangerous territory you're on right now. You're going to start a staffing agency right now. You're going to get into recruiting right now when everybody's getting fired. I'm like, yeah, because, eventually it's going to come down. People are going to have to go back to work. It's going to clear out. The smoke is going to clear and I'm going to be right here ready.
Right. Well, it's the very classic, like if everybody runs in one direction, run the other way.
The other way.
The other way, right?
Exactly.
That's exactly where you need to be, like the other spot, if you're doing it right, in the right scenario, of course, right?
Yep.
You don't run into a burning house, but you ran the right direction at the right spot at the right time, making the right moves with the right intention. And that's really what topped it off for you. So I guess last thing I want to ask you really is if anybody's watching this, they're thinking about getting into recruiting and they're like, how's this thing go? Like, what does it really feel like? You coming out of nowhere, coming into recruiting, scaling, doing huge things now at this point, what would you say to somebody that's watching this?
If you're thinking about it, if it's on your heart, you're right there, you're just not sure, do that shit. That's the best way I can tell you right now. That's as real as it is for me. Just do it. Just jump in. It's like Nike, baby. Just do it.
Just do it.
Ben has the blueprint for sure. He can take you all the way there. He did it for me. I'm from Compton, California. I didn't, come up in the best situation. I don't have a whole bunch of awards or accolades, or, my education is not all golden and grand. I didn't even have that much experience as far as with the recruiting, but I did it. It was on my heart. And I said, you know what? I'm scared. It scared me, but that was the reason why I went forward. Go towards your fear, run towards it, do it, and you will thank yourself for it. Straight up.
I love that. So we got some direction here, and we got some serious advice and some motivational from you here right now.
Hope so.
Right? Because
Yeah.
that's exactly, right? When you feel that fear, imposter syndrome, you've just got to move towards it, move through it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I talked to a lot of people about. So I'm super pumped I was able to finally get some of your time to interview you, Angie. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure we'll be doing another interview because you're doing big things. So I'm really pumped about that. But thank you for taking the time on this one, and I appreciate you.
For sure. And thank you guys as well for tuning in. Be sure to go check me out. Follow me on all platforms at A Closer Agency.
There we go.
Angie Connor.
There we go. Angie Connor, A Closer Agency. Check it out. All right.
Thanks, guys.